Mike, Michael Rhines here.
Roger Trahan.
And Mark LePage is here. Good evening, everybody.
Just enough.
Just enough. All right, so we will open the public hearings here. And the first one on the docket is we've got the NOI from 15 Liberty Way. Is there anybody here or on Zoom from 15 Liberty Way?
Yes, sir. I'm on Zoom over here.
Chris, how are you?
Good. How's it going, folks?
Good. So what you got?
I will go ahead and share my screen here real quick if I can. All right. So my name is Chris Frateroli. I'm a wetland scientist with Goddard Consulting. We're talking about 15 Liberty Way again. We've basically what we've done at this point is we've gone ahead and on Friday we submitted to you what is essentially a really comprehensive package of all of our revised documents thus far. The intention with that was to really just clean up all of our previous submittals and make one coherent package that we can all kind of look at and work off of from this point. So, here we have our aerial of the site, obviously just to reorient everybody, existing warehouse building. Up here in the north, this forested area is our work area that we're looking at. So the project consists of expanding the parking for the site out to the north here. The way it's designed right now, we do have impacts to this one isolated vegetated wetland here. This is the G series, as well as two other isolated wetlands over here that these really are, stormwater features that have developed wetland characteristics over time. So this is just to kind of summarize the impacts of the project. This first one, this G series IVW here, this is what that one looks like on the ground, kind of a low gradient wetland, forested, pretty standard. Moving on down, you can see here, we have our H series and B series. These are, they were initially stormwater features. You can tell from the riprap breakers here that have, really probably never been maintained and have developed these wetland characteristics over time. Again, here's another view of that B series wetland. You can see the riprap. You can even see the concrete outlet structure over here on the down gradient side. So all that to say is we do propose impacts to these three flagged wetland series, as well as these buffer zones as shown here, the darker brown being the 0 to 25 foot, the orange being the 25 to 50, and the yellow being the 50 to 100 zone. So as mitigation for these impacts, we are proposing some wetland replication. And just to go back, for context, that is this area up here. We put together a replication plan specifying, protocols, procedures, excavations, and all that. Planting plan shown here. This is essentially intended to replace the loss of the G series IVW that you can see tailing off down here at the bottom of this. We're a little short on a 2-to-1 ratio here. We're at about 1.8 to 1. And then as far as impacts to those two other stormwater IVWs, the proposal right now is to essentially kind of rehab those features. And what we're trying to do is bridge the gap between stormwater feature and wetland, because that's kind of what's out there right now. So what we have here is this is intended to be a stormwater feature that will get planted and, again, kind of bridge that gap between stormwater feature and wetland. And then as mitigation for our buffer zone impacts, we are proposing a substantial amount of invasive species management, over an acre. We kind of reoriented the invasive management area from previous iterations of the plan, because as you'll recall, we do have this mode easement access here that the town maintains. They have sewer lines that go under here. So in lieu of kind of haggling over the right way to handle work in that area, we've just gone ahead and shifted it around a little bit So the invasive management area is all of this kind of shaded area here. Pretty much the majority of the still naturally vegetated area on the site that is, relatively easily accessible and within proximity to the work area. We also submitted a revised resource area impact summary. So this is just kind of putting numbers to some of those things that we had just talked about. We broke this down a little bit, just addressing the individual IVWs, the square footages that we are proposing for alteration, and then specifically what we're proposing for mitigation for those, as well as the various buffer zones. Again, about an acre of invasive species management as mitigation for those buffer zone impacts. So as part of that submittal that you guys received on Friday, we really feel like we've tidied this thing up a little bit. We've provided this form revised variance request, revised site plans, procedures and protocols for the work that we're proposing. That kind of sums up where the project stands right now, and would love to get any feedback. Happy to answer any questions.
So Chris, thanks for the update. Appreciate you putting that together. Hey, one thing that's come up is it looks like over the time frame of this process that separate from when this was originally submitted and reviewed back in September, some drainage features have now been added to the plans relative to item B there, area B. Can you talk about that a little bit? Looks like a drainage line was and structure depicted at the south end of that we hadn't seen on the original plans.
This area here we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the existing outlet to that stormwater IVW, as it were. It does drain out to the south down here. It extends off site via a drainage easement that you can kind of see down here. That's a continuation of the same stormwater drainage features that are present throughout the Franklin Industrial Park that have kind of given rise to some of these stormwater IVW features.
So why didn't we see that on the original plans, I guess, would be a question. And I guess the comment would be, it would have been great when that was added, if you guys could have updated us. I mean, you were here a couple of meetings ago with an update. Would have been a great opportunity to call that out. I mean, that's potentially impactful to the whole system there.
Yeah, so I think that what happened there was, this was not originally included as part of the design. So I think that when this modified stormwater basin became a part of the design, that's when that came up. It just is essentially just tying into the existing infrastructure that's already present there.
Yeah, I guess, and fair enough, I guess the call out is, something like that's a material difference. We just appreciate that the heads up proactively that you've changed something on the plans that's, going to have a pretty material impact potentially on the wetlands features there.
Yeah, for sure. I apologize that wasn't made clear. That wasn't, we weren't trying to slip anything by you or anything in that regard.
I mean, yeah, I get it, but just, just to call it out. So, just a consideration. So thank
Absolutely.
you for that. Bricolai, any comments beyond that?
Just out of curiosity, Chris, do you know where that goes to? Dix Brook is not too far to the south, so I was just curious if this connected to that perennial stream.
Yeah, so I believe it's been a little while since I've looked at the plans, but in our digging, we weren't able to find anything about this site specifically, but on some of the adjacent sites, excuse me, there are actually stormwater features that are shown on those adjacent sites. I believe this drains off-site to the south to another detention pond feature, which which is in proximity to Dix Brook down there to the south, and does probably ultimately discharge to there.
Would you be able to provide additional information for the record that, you did identify where the external to the property outfall is? And,
Absolutely.
that entire system before I go out and review, please?
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Guys, any questions on?
No, my only question would be, same as Brica Lies, that, it looks like everything's headed down towards Dix Brook. And eventually, it's gonna get there, so I'd have a concern, or at least wanna know exactly where it's headed to.
Well, isn't that where most of the drainage goes?
Yes,
No?
it would change jurisdictional status of what this basin is.
Right, yeah.
Right.
If it has a strong connection, a hydrologic connection to a perennial stream, it could be considered BVW. Which
Yeah.
changes
So it's
the
an existing
entire,
structure there that's been draining somewhere. So we need to, there's a likelihood that it currently drains to Dix Brook?
yes.
And I think H drains into B, right? So then that's got potential to become a BVW. So that's why it's just good to
Correct.
understand where that's all going.
Correct. Yeah, I do have some plans of record in my files somewhere, so I'll do a little bit of digging and get
Okay.
you a better answer on that topic.
Yeah, I think to the point, it'd be great to have for the record, the
Absolutely.
details on that, just so we can understand.
Yep,
it.
we'll put something together and get it submitted for you.
All right, Chris.
Does he have these questions?
Not yet. Chair Livingstone, who's not in attendance, wanted the commission to address those.
Okay.
So it was not coming from me. It was coming from the commission. So I will convey those now, and we can continue in our review if that is something that the
I mean,
commission
if this
would
is
like.
what's holding it up, then we probably ought to make it.
Well, there's two things, right? They submitted this packet,
Yes.
right? So we-
Yeah, that doesn't include this, or?
Well, it does now, right? So.
Oh, it does? Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yeah, so
Cool.
we've gotta review the current information, which we had to do anyway. The call out is just seeing the change that wasn't communicated originally and how that may change and impact how the features are defined. And to do that, just have to understand where that water's headed to. So, I mean, we had to review the info anyway, but it'd be good to get that additional data, I think is where we are.
That sounds good.
You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have one
Yeah,
other
please.
comment, but I wasn't sure. You were gonna go, Bricola?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like, yes. I would prefer that the applicant do their due diligence and, discover out where this outfall is, provide documentation to me, and then I will verify said documentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
We will get that for you.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm not sold that 1.8 to 1 is good enough. Why should we not insist on 2 to 1?
I mean, on my end, I'll just say offhand that, we are really pushing the limits of the usable space we have here. We could, kind of explore flushing out our replication area on this side a little bit. I don't know if that's going to be enough square footage just looking at it on this version of the plan, but that's certainly something that we can look for if you feel strongly about seeing 2 to 1.
Hey, Chris, maybe just as a quick one, I know you had the chart up, maybe that'll help if you put it back. So where are we now? There you go. So where are we now in total? There it is, 40, bless you. Total mitigation?
So we have about 6,700 square feet is going to be that planted stormwater basin. 2,300 square feet is going to be IBW replication, and then just shy of 45,000 square feet of invasive species management.
And that, so, do you have a total there? My math skills aren't that good to add that up.
I can't even
I was
see
just,
the
I wondered
building.
how many square feet were off of a full 2? That's where I was headed with this, right? You're at 1.8, so you must have done the math. How many square feet are we missing?
Yeah, let's see. So we're at about 500 square feet short.
Okay. I mean, I guess the other thing to think about, now that you brought this up, Michael, right, invasive species management. So that'll happen here at the beginning, right? We all move on. Is anybody ever gonna continue and maintain the invasive species management? So that's a big chunk of the mitigation is that. I guess that gets concerning too. I don't know if you guys have concerns on that.
I'm not terribly concerned about it.
Okay.
1.8 to 1, to me, seems like a good faith effort on their part.
I mean,
Yeah, I believe if they had the ability to get to 2, they would.
well, is it possible to shrink the impact and therefore your mitigation? You know what I mean? If you shrink the parking lot or something and less impact on the wetland, then you might be able to meet it that way.
Yeah, I will. I will nudge the engineers and the applicant and see what we can do on that front.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. All right, anything else? Anything from the audience or on Zoom? All right, so with that, we are looking to continue.
Yes, sir.
Richard, you wanna?
I will.
All right,
I'll give you a continuance of the NOI for 15 Liberty Way to April 18th at 7:01 PM.
Second,
all right,
Continue.
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 continue. All right, so we'll continue till next meeting. Thanks, Chris, appreciate it.
Thank you, folks. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
All right. With that, we'll open up the NOI for 121 Grove Street. Do we have anybody here from 121 Grove? All right, so doesn't sound like we have anybody here. Looks like what we're looking to do is review the information they last submitted, so assuming Bricolage, probably nothing new till we look at that.
Correct.
Okay. Anybody in the audience or on Zoom, comments on 121 Grove? All right.
Did we skip
We skipped.
160 Maple?
Oh, I did. Oh, okay. Well, let's close this out. Good catch. I was looking at the yellow. Thank you very much. So why don't we,
What are we gonna do here?
well, I think we can still go to 702. Why don't we do that, right? So you want to give us a motion on that, Michael?
So, I'm just looking at the history
Sure.
here. So on
Oh, yeah.
7 March, applicant requested continuance. 21 March, applicant requested continuance. Here we are, our third continuance. Is that okay?
They are right there, they just aren't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize we had gotten to 121.
Yeah, they,
Oh,
Okay, great.
Good.
But to answer your question,
Good catch.
they are still open in ZBA, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
All
we
right,
are kind of waiting on that.
thank you.
John?
We've opened your hearing.
Yeah, we're.
Yeah, we're in your hearing, so.
Okay, sorry I'm late.
Mr. Chairman?
John, good to see you.
Yep, evening, how are you?
Really well.
So again, John Scheib and Chris Lucas and Michael Capichetti with RJ O'Connell. And would you like me to just recap where we are?
That'd be great.
Yep. So we filed a notice of intent a while ago and had a meeting with you and had a discussion. Beta Group submitted a proposal. Beta Group then provided a peer review. And about a week ago, we responded to Beta Group's comments. And the comments were on, wetland-related things and some stormwater-related things. So it was a lot of comments and a lot of responses. And so we're here this evening to see if you wanted to discuss anything in particular. I'm sure Beta Group needs some more time to complete the review.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we got the information. Beta's got to take a look at it, but just would love to hear status update from you guys while you're here.
A status update relative to where we are elsewhere, or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of?
Yeah, be good to know. I mean, we know you're in front of the ZBA, right? Love to know how that's going.
Sure, let me speak on that.
Yep.
And then maybe Chris could just give an overview of, the big picture, what were some of the comments and how we responded? Is that?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, Chris, you ready for that in a minute? So with the zoning board, a week ago tonight, we were before the zoning board, I think for our third hearing with them. And what was concluded was that the peer review that had been done by Hancock Engineering on the stormwater, things were resolved with that peer review. And Howard Stein Hudson had done a peer review of traffic-related concerns, and we had answered all of those questions. So the zoning board did not have any more questions on any, of the program, or if they did, we answered them that evening. And they discussed the waivers. We went through the waivers, and they struck one or two of the waivers. I think we had asked for a waiver on paying the fee for review of erosion control plans, and they said they didn't want to waive that, so we struck that. I think there was one other waiver that we agreed to strike. And at the end of the evening, the zoning board voted to ask their council to issue a decision and draft the conditions. So it sounded very favorable.
Okay.
And then we meet again on the 11th, I think. Yeah, the 11th, next Thursday.
Okay,
So
great.
that's where we are with the zoning board.
Thank you, John.
And so Chris could give a brief presentation, and Michael's here also if there's civil engineering related, but Chris knows the high level, what are the types of things that Beta suggested or had comments on, and how we responded in general, and any program changes. There's just like one or two minor ones that were a result of the peer review, so, okay?
Thanks. Hey, Chris.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Chris Lucas with Lucas Environmental, professional and certified wetland scientist and registered professional soil scientist. I can get into as much detail as you'd like tonight, but just generally speaking, we've reviewed all of Beta's comments. We've made revisions to the plans to address that. Beta had questions and comments on stormwater, performance standards, erosion controls, and phasing. RJ O'Connell has revised the project plans to address all of their comments related to the stormwater. We believe we've adequately and appropriately addressed those. They've updated the erosion controls per their Beta's comments. We've revised the detail sheets to reflect and address specific comments that they had, which Mike can get to the weeds on if you need to. We've also provided a detailed phasing plan showing how the site's going to be broken up into various phases. We can go through that tonight if you'd like. On the wetland side, there were questions and comments related to inland bank and land underwater bodies and waterways. As far as inland bank goes, we had provided documentation how we comply with standard 10.544A6. So if it's a stream crossing, you're assumed to comply with all the other standards. If you meet the stream crossing standards, which we do, we interpret that to apply to the roadway crossings as well as the boardwalks, because the boardwalks are stream crossings. Regardless, we provided additional information on how we comply with standards A1 through 5 for the boardwalks. So we don't think it's needed, but we provided it, so we feel that's gets resolved. We show it complies. Regarding land under waterways and water bodies, we do have a strong disagreement there. End of the day, we don't want to get into an argument about this, so we've provided all the standards for land underwater and how we meet them all. Our opinion is land underwater is not present on the site for two reasons. One, we don't believe it exists in intermittent streams. And two, we have an ANRAD and we have an ORAD, Order of Resource Area Delineation, confirming the boundaries of all resource areas on the site. We specifically asked, and it was approved, that there were no other resources on the site except for the 6 intermittent streams we flagged. So at no time was there any discussion about land underwater. Our opinion then was it didn't exist. So at this point, you're trying to revise an ORAD through an NOI, which is not appropriate. So regardless of that, we disagree there, but we've provided how we comply with each performance standard, assuming land underwater was present on the site. And we do comply with the performance standards, so we've documented how we do that. So again, trying to work with you here. I think that's a fair way to resolve that issue. And, you know, like we said, we've, the last main thing was, we know there were a lot of comments about the pool. We were able to redesign this area to avoid impacts to the pool, to the wetland adjacent to the pool. So we've actually reduced the permanent impacts to the wetlands on the site by about 100 square feet. So right now, we have 480 square feet of permanent wetland impact reduced from 500 feet. And that is
So Chris, just real quick, so where was the pool, and we can see
It's
what,
still located here, we've just
Yeah.
modified the design. We originally had this area here was being impacted, so we modified the retaining walls and redesigned this a little bit to avoid that wetland impact.
okay,
Again, this isn't a high value wetland, this was that debated area out in the field, we had a little bit of a chat about for a while.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
But we are able to avoid it, so
Okay.
that reduces the permanent impacts. And as you're aware, we have a very robust mitigation plan for this project. We're more than 12 times the state requirement for mitigation, and we're about 2.4 times the local requirement. You don't have to meet it, we said we would, and we've exceeded that. In addition to, we have roughly 12,480 square feet of additional mitigation throughout the site where we're restoring the moat wetlands right now. That's the short version. Happy to answer any questions or get into more detail on any of the changes. But the overall design hasn't changed, but we have addressed the specific details that we had requested. And that's all in the packet that was submitted last week.
So, when it gets reviewed, you come to the next meeting, it's a slam dunk.
That's the dream.
Is it more than a dream?
We believe, no, no seriousness, we believe we've adequately and appropriately
You seem to
addressed
indicate
everything.
that you were complying with at least most of the concerns anyway. Good.
We've complied, in our opinion, we've complied with everything that Beta asked. We've addressed everything appropriately. We would very much like to see, you know, no further comment, and we believe we've addressed everything.
Good.
so I know you just mentioned, so could you review where you guys are on the land underwater situation? So you disagree with it, right? So you're not addressing that, or,
We are.
okay,
So we have documented how we comply with each performance standard under 310 CMR 10.56.4. So we go through each performance standard in the response, and we document how we comply with each one for the work at the crossings, all 5 of the crossings. The 2 roadway crossings and the 3 boardwalk stream crossings.
and was in your last submission?
That was in our submission. We've completely documented how we comply with it, but we don't agree that it's there.
Okay,
But he's very conservatively said, okay, if it is, here's the data.
okay, that's kind of what I thought.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right, just wanted to make
The
sure.
hard part, so with land under water bodies and waterways, you're measuring the limit of it is the mean annual low flow. So theoretically, in an intermittent stream, it's 0. So if it's 0, it doesn't exist. Beyond that, there's really no direct way to measure where land under water is within the stream, because if you go bank to bank, that's the mean high water. So where's mean low in between that? If it's 0, then it's not there, it doesn't exist. So then you get into a quantification issue. So what we've done conservatively is set bank to bank is the land underwater, and we've quantified that. So you have an updated impact analysis for all the resources, including land underwater. We have this, each performance standard listed for land underwater and how we comply with it.
Okay,
Okay.
But-
good.
But again, even the ORAD confirmed there's no other resources on site, so by the order that's been approved by this commission, land underwater isn't on the site.
I think the challenge is, right, we're approving what you submitted, right? So it's not exclusionary to anything else, so.
Well, the ORAD can be if we ask for it.
We,
So we specifically asked that there was no other resource. But
Might
we're-
I
you
pop,
submitted.
pop
you
in
addressed
quickly?
it.
The ORAD actually does state that the ORAD does not, and it's underlined, approve any other wetland resource areas. So it, on page 2 of the ORAD of the findings, it's very clear what it was approved by. But I will say the end justifies the means. So
Right.
whether or not, Mr. Lucas disagrees with it, he did provide
Right.
documentation.
Yeah, that's why.
So
Right.
I
yeah.
think that's
I
fine.
agree, totally
So
agree.
just
So
as a
thank you.
correction for the record.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
it's good.
It's
That
there.
helped.
We've complied with what Beta asked for.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Makes all our
We
lives
thought
easier.
this would be an easier way to resolve this with everybody.
And that's appreciated. Okay, good. Thank you, Chris.
The pool, the swimming pool,
Yes.
is it like a saltwater pool, chlorine pool, or? And I guess where I'm going with that is, in the winter, you lower the level of a pool. Where's that salt water or chlorinated water being dumped?
I'm going to defer to John.
Sure, yeah. Sometimes we do saltwater pools, but normally they're chlorine pools.
Okay.
And you're absolutely right. Handling of pool water is, I think it's actually regulated, but I know from talking with our property management people that we are required to either dechlorinate it before discharging it to a storm drain, or we actually have to have it removed by a truck. But normally it has a system where it dechlorinates. But I've personally witnessed what happens if you discharge the chlorine water to a yard or grass, and it kills all the grass, so you don't get away with that
Right,
anymore.
okay, thank you.
Not that we're
So I'm curious, you mentioned that you have 2.4x replication of the local bylaws. So what do you mean by that?
So during the ANRAD process, we had told the commission that the isolated vegetated wetlands, it's just over 2,000 square feet in size. We had said we'd replicate that
Okay.
in the notice of intent. So that's what we've done. So we have 480 square feet plus the 2,000, so it's roughly 2,500 square feet. And we're replicating about 1,500 square feet.
Gotcha.
So
Thanks. Thanks. Also, I wasn't clear on Mr. Scheib,
John.
Mr. Scheib,
Yeah.
about your, we had recommended certain waivers not be approved. Is that what you're saying? They probably will all be approved? Or,
Yeah, I think they're going to be approved by the zoning board. But to that point, to that point, we attempted to speak to the local bylaw as much as we thought it might be helpful in the notice of intent. So Chris and the team, they've broken down very specifically some of the quantities that would be reported if we had submitted under the local bylaw. That would not have been required just strictly under the Wetland Protection Act. So, you have a criteria relative to work in certain buffer zones. The Wetland Protection Act would just say, report what those, that square footage is. Here, we've broken them down very specifically, the way the local bylaw would have anticipated. Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
All right. Richard, good?
I'm good.
All right, Roger, Michael, anything out in the audience or Zoom? All right, so, Roger, you want to give us well, actually, no, Michael, you're up for this. Give us a motion to continue.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 121 Grove Street to April 18th, 7:02.
Yeah.
Second, vote to continue.
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 To continue. John and Chris, thanks for the update, guys. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Look forward to next time.
Looking forward to next time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you guys, thanks for coming in.
Send you with approval.
All right, we'll open the NOI for the proposed solar array at 160 Maple Street. Greg, I see you there, and I'm sorry I skipped you out of order.
It's okay, not a problem.
How you doing tonight?
Doing well, good to be back, thanks. Yeah, so I don't have too many updates to provide tonight. Just as a reminder, 2 meetings ago, I got the chance to walk through the open remaining kind of clarity items that were in Beta's letter, and we all talked about those and kind of came to consensus, verifying if any additional information was needed. And really the last meeting, I think the only reason we didn't have much to talk about was because we were looking for some clarification on the planning side, the Beta stormwater review from the planning board side, see where that letter stood, as well as a letter from the fire chief. So we've since gotten both letters. We actually just received another updated Beta letter about
great.
an hour ago. That basically just says now that we've basically acknowledged all their comments, and they only had 2 other recommendations, that they were not stormwater related and they were minor things that we're just gonna talk about with the planning board on Monday and agree to as conditions of approval. There's small notes to add to the plans. And with the fire chief, there's only one request, which was to make sure that, as part of our regular maintenance, and we do maintenance on a quarterly basis with the solar, that we make sure that the emergency access drives, because there's 2 of them, that one is through the New England Power Company's property and one through the other solar project, the LP property, that those roads be maintained, and if there's anything that would be hindering them from being able to use those roads as emergency access roads, that we would repair them. And what repair means is basically just replace like rutted gravel. So not expecting to do any widening, no clearing, no regrading, but just simply if we see areas of washed out gravel or any eroded portions of those gravel access roads, that we would restore them the same way that we would restore the gravel access roads that are on our property. And that's it. So at this point, I think we're in pretty good shape. And I saw in the agenda there's some draft or suggested comments from Bricolai. So I think I guess I'll turn it over there. And if there's anything further, I'm here to answer questions.
Great news on the fire piece, right? So,
Yeah.
Ricolai, any?
Yeah, so I did take the liberty, the deputy fire chief, he comes to tech review every Wednesday, so we talk about all our open projects. So he did give the green light, but Greg, could you send me that letter that you just got it an hour ago, please?
Yeah, so the letter I got an hour ago was from Beta on the planning review. But
Okay,
I did
that's
that.
fine.
But I was also told that I'm
Yes.
supposed to get another clean fire letter
Yes.
tonight. I just haven't seen it yet, so whether it comes tomorrow morning,
That's
I will
okay.
send it over.
That's
as
okay.
well.
I heard it right from his mouth, so that's fine.
That's good news.
That works for me. So yes, I would recommend approval with standard special conditions and approval of the variance. I defer to the commission if you'd like to discuss things at all. I did
Yeah.
put in a comment about phasing, but that's your prerogative, so.
So, yeah, it was something we talked about, Greg, where, potentially putting some conditional phasing on this. So what does the construction timeline look like for you as you're putting this together?
Yeah, I think with such a large solar project, I think usually these would span roughly about almost a year worth of
Right.
construction time. So I think we have the flexibility to front load some of the landscape restoration and be able to do that in the ideal, whether it's spring or fall planting seasons as required. And I saw that the suggested condition, I don't think there's any concern with us doing that. We do have over 2 acres of restoration area that we're proposing within the buffers to restore the area that's currently being disturbed. And we have a relatively small wetland restoration area, but I don't see why any of those areas couldn't be done up front, as we then work kind of more towards the center, of the site that's already been kind of worked over, with mostly golf course activity.
Realistically too, if the commission wanted to keep it flexible so that, for example, maybe it's a grubbing exercise or a grading exercise before actually planting plants, right? Because you have to be strategic of when you plant plants.
Right, right.
We
Yeah.
can definitely piece out conditions to that effect. I can try and word it on the fly if you need me to. But
I think that, and Greg, it sounds like you're comfortable with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when looking at the areas that we're
Right, yeah.
proposing most of our restorations, all that would actually be outside of where we're proposing like our perimeter fence.
Right,
So I don't see a need for us to necessarily have to go in there. It'd be one of those where we can do the restoration, get, whether it's some grading or do the planting, and then set up our perimeter control fence, which usually goes up pretty early. And then from there, work inside, and we wouldn't have any issue with like kind of leaving that as is. It gives us more time to grow and get established while we're then working on the rest of the site.
all right, good.
okay.
Good. Richard, you got any questions, you good?
I'm good.
All right.
She recommended approval with certain conditions.
Yeah, I figure
Is he
we,
aware of the conditions?
well, I was gonna say, if we don't have any questions, we'll have Rika read them.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
So.
I'm good. Read the
Just wanna make
condition,
sure you're good before we,
read the conditions and let's vote.
Okay. I'm going to read the replication area condition that we just talked about first, okay? All replication areas shall be completed per the approved plans prior to the construction of any other work shown on the approved plans, except for any construction necessary for site access. The site access road or any access may be constructed prior to the construction of the replication areas to allow property access. I'd like to add an additional condition, which is already protected under the Wetlands Protection Act, but just to be consistent. Conditions set forth in 310 CMR 1055 4B, sans 310 CMR 1055 4B1 as a 2-to-1 replication area is required per Franklin bylaw and associated regulations. That being, for example, for brevity, groundwater and surface elevation of the replacement area shall be equal to that of lost area. At least 75% of the surface of the replication area shall be reestablished with indigenous wetland plant species. Replication area shall be located within the same general area of the water body as the lost area, I should say. The replication area shall have unrestricted hydraulic connection. The overall horizontal configuration and location of the replication area shall be similar to that of the lost area. Moving back to the conditions outlined in the agent report. Recommend approval with standard special conditions and approval of the variance. Standard special conditions 20 through 45, 47 through 51, and 52, the applicant shall stake and demarcate the stockpiling area in the field prior to construction. All stockpiling areas shall be located outside of the 100-foot buffer zone to vegetated wetlands. 53, the applicant shall follow best management practices under the discretion of a geotechnical engineer to ensure that drilling spoils and slurry do not result in discharges to adjacent resource areas. 54, the applicant shall provide cross-sections on the landscape plans for the replication areas prior to the start of construction and/or shall provide updated final grades throughout the replication areas and its outer edges prior to the construction of the replication areas to the conservation agent and commission. 55, the applicant shall provide an updated invasive species management plan and receive approval to the conservation agent and commission prior to the start of construction. For the record, the first two conditions that I read would subsequently be 56 and 57.
all right. Greg, you good with all that?
Yes, we are.
All right. Any questions from the public? All right, you guys all good with questions?
Good.
All right, so let's, Rod, you want to give us a motion to close the hearing on the NOI?
Can I just make one
Oh,
comment?
Please do.
I just feel like, Greg, you've just been on top of this and responsive and here every single time, and we certainly appreciate it.
It's a good comment. I agree with that.
Yeah, you've really
Thank
done a
you,
great
Greg.
job
Appreciate
keeping
that.
us updated.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Greg. I agree. It's a pleasure to work with.
100%. All right, Rod, you want to
I'll
close
give
it?
you a motion to close the hearing for 160 Maple Street.
Second. Vote to close.
Vote close.
Vote to close.
Vote to close, we're closed. All right, then we've got, we need the approval with conditions, and we got to approve the variance. So, Reggie, you want to give us the approve with conditions?
We gotta go two?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, do the approval with conditions first, right? Give us a
all
motion
right,
on
I'll
that.
give you a motion to approve the approval with conditions of the NOI for proposed solar array at parcel 3, 160 Maple Street.
All right,
Second.
all right.
Vote to approve.
Vote to approve.
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 All right, and
This one
then,
hurts.
Michael, you want to give us a motion to approve the variance?
I'll give you a motion to approve the variance for the NOI for the proposed solar array, parcel 3, 160 Maple Street.
Second.
All
Vote
right,
to approve.
vote to approve.
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 Thanks, Greg.
There you go. Home run.
Appreciate it all. Thank you for this process, and it's look forward to seeing the project move forward. So thank you all.
Thanks, Greg.
Have a great night. Thank you.
All right. So with that, we'll open the NOI for South Street, Misco Brook. Do we have anybody here on behalf of South Street, Misco Brook?
Nope,
Nope.
these should be quick.
This is the town, right?
Yep,
Oh, that's right.
we
Yeah.
requested a continuance.
All right. Rod, you want to give us a continuance?
I give you a motion to continue the NOI for South Street, Misco Brook.
Second.
All right.
Vote to approve.
Continue.
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 Approve the continuance.
Continue.
Vote to continue. All right, to April 18th at 7:03. All right. Next, we'll open the NOI for the Beaver Pond hydro raking.
Continue.
All right. Richard, you're up.
Okay. I give you a motion to continue the NOI for Beaver Pond hydro raking to April 18th at 7:04 PM.
Second.
All right.
Vote to approve. Vote to continue.
There we go.
Continue.
Continue.
All right, vote to continue. All right, flipping right along. All right, next we have an ANRAD for the Louise Drive extension. We had a request to continue that as well, so do we have anybody here from Louise Drive? All right. Brigalai, nothing new? All right. Michael, you want to give us a continue on that?
Boy, we're going fast.
Oh, yeah, we're moving along here.
Give you a motion to continue the ANRAD for Louise Drive extension
Second.
to
Go
to
for it.
April 18th at 7:05.
Still second.
All right.
Vote to continue.
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 Continue, all right. All right, so that closes out the public hearings. Next, we're on to general business, and we've got a MBZA for Sewell Brook Court. Anybody, oh, hello. You want to come up and give us, you can sit at the chair, you can stand at the mic, whichever you prefer. All right.
So,
I'm sorry, can you give us your name?
sure, my name is Manuel Romero.
Okay, nice to see you.
Nice to meet you guys. So the proposed activity in our house is to effectively bring down some very tall pine trees that are effectively a hazard to our house. And as you guys have been aware, the change in weather has been a concern for us, especially with the strong winds and the heavy rains. And our home is right next to like, it's a drainage effectively, so the cul-de-sac, the water goes into the back, and there's always pooled water. And effectively, the concern is that the trees in the soil is constantly wet, and the concern of the trees effectively falling over. So we're trying to be proactive and effectively take the trees down to avoid damage to property and my family.
Well, thank you for coming in. So, it looks like some of the trees are actually, 3 of the trees, I think it is, are not on your property, right?
2 of them,
Two.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah, so for that one, I'm effectively, I guess, looking for guidance on those because they're still within striking distance of the home. We had a certified arborist effectively come and look at the property, and I submitted that as part of the application as well. And so he's considered them a hazard primarily for the same reasons I stated, that the soil is effectively soaked with water and there are a potential for falling. I mean, he cannot say when, right? 'Cause
Yep.
who knows? But the concern is there effectively.
so I think what we were looking at is having someone from the town come out, take a look at them, confirm, and then we top them off.
Okay, yeah, I
So-
mean, that
so-
would address our
Yeah, 'cause
concern.
it's on conservation land, so you don't have to take care of that.
Okay,
So it's a town property?
Yes,
It
conservation,
is.
so we'll take a look at that, make an assessment, just so
okay.
that's the way to
appreciate it.
handle that. And then, so then you've got the trees, we gonna look at a picture?
Trying to pull 'em up.
Okay,
Yes, so for the record, I just wanted to put up a map. I did speak with the arborist today. He actually gave me a call, so we were able to connect. So the trees that the property owner is looking to remove is actually within the wetlands. So it's not within any drainage area or easement to the side. It's actually in this really large wetland complex. And then for the record, I did take the liberty of asking the arborist if they were diseased, girdled, or any type of legally hazardous, right? That is a legal definition. There's a term, it's defined legally. I don't know how many times I need to say that using the same words, but, and he told me no. They are within striking distance, they're tall. As any tree is within a wetland ecosystem, they are easy to topple because of the nature of the wetland soils, right? But they're not imminent. So knowing that, what I would recommend is approval of removal, stumps left in place of the trees that are on the property. There's 1 here and 2 here. This is boundary marked on Manuel's property. So it is indicated and defined. There's stakes actually, and I believe there's a rock wall. So I did let the arborist know that he needs to stay on private property. And then next Tuesday, DPW arborist and I will go out and assess the remaining trees.
okay.
So
So,
we have a plan.
based on connecting with his tree guy, we feel good about
Yeah,
approving it.
yeah, and Kevin, his tree guy, will let me know. It is a condition that the tree company has to let me know when they're doing work.
Okay.
So Kevin and I will connect when this is happening.
And Manuel, they get a pretty, what's the route for the tree guy to get to those trees look like?
He's gonna be using the driveway.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so so we had submitted a previous, I think about 3 years ago, a couple
Yep.
of other trees that were
Right.
closer.
Yeah,
And so, they did a good job, sort of minimally invasive and try to not harm any of the surrounding environment, right? So his plan is to come in through the driveway and use a crane to effectively access the trees.
it's good for us, good
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
good for the lawn. Okay.
Yeah, you don't want a crane on your lawn, trust
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
All
So some
right.
of the images I submitted, just to give you a sort
Yeah,
of like,
thank
you know,
you,
what,
yeah.
what we see, that's looking out the second floor bedroom, the kids' room effectively, right?
Is that
So,
water on the ground there?
Yeah, I mean, it's been under constantly with the rains,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
and when it
okay,
gets howling, those things go in circles, right?
Yep.
The trees.
okay.
Well, cut them down.
So what we're, Bricolite, any other?
No,
So we're thinking is, we're gonna approve the MBZA for the trees on property, and then
Correct.
the town will come out and look at the ones in the wetlands, and that worked for you, Manuel?
That works, I guess my question is on sort of the process for when the town does come out, right? I mean, is there, you know, will they be topped, I guess is my question? Or is it up to the review of additional folks to determine whether or not they'll be topped?
I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna make an assessment, right, when they go out this coming week.
Okay.
And,
Yep.
and
So I included in my agent report that since it is a conservation area, it's conservation land, it's under jurisdiction of my department, that I would be the one to permit, or if it is deemed necessary of an emergency authorization, then I would request the commission ratify it. But it is effectively out of your hands, and liability to remove the trees is out of your hands. So
I
you're not,
understand that.
you're not paying for it or anything like that. It is town's property and town priority. So,
So the town will remove them if they,
exactly.
yeah.
So, which is great, and I appreciate that. I guess what I'm seeking clarity on is whether or not, after the visit from the arborist, the town arborist, if he determines that they're not, right? Our arborist considered those trees outside of our property line to be a hazard, to striking distance from the home. So if the second arborist does not agree with that, what
So-
happens then?
Sure. So that's where it defers to you. You guys need to tell me what you would like. I would again, and this is more just for, consistency in the record, I did speak to your arborist and he told me on the phone that they are not hazardous. They are within striking distance, but they're not imminent to fall. I'm not saying that your worry or concern is invalid.
so,
I'm
Are they
just-
pine trees?
Yes.
so maybe the suggestion is, Manuel, why don't we have the town arborist look at it, see what the situation is, so we have all the facts, right? And then if there's a discrepancy in their opinion, we'll talk about it here at a meeting
Yeah.
and make a decision for you, right? I mean, we want to be reasonable, but it'd be good if the arborist agreed. That just makes it procedurally.
Of course, and that makes
Let's-
sense, I guess.
Let's wait till we know
Exactly.
what the problem is.
Yeah.
If there is a problem.
And, make it easy on you if you want to zoom in, right? You've come here
It's
live.
okay, I'm in town.
Oh, okay, no, I mean, just, we realize it's onerous to drag you out again, so just trying to be sensitive to that, but we appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
So,
I
all
wouldn't
right,
get too worried. The town is pretty reasonable when they come out and look at a
Yeah.
tree. They're not inclined to endanger life and liberty,
Right, and I
limbs.
guess that was my only concern, because,
Right.
it might not be imminent, but, you
Right,
just
it's a
don't
pine
know.
tree, it could break
Like,
anytime.
why risk life,
Got it.
I just think
Yeah.
it makes no sense.
Yep.
So,
It's fairly common. We have many conservation areas around town and conservation lands, and they're usually all wet. And we have one heat and circle, if the commission remembers, that was just in January.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
it's,
same,
it's,
yeah.
it's common practice.
so let's not worry until we have to.
Exactly.
So this is in the wetland road, right?
Yes.
So shouldn't we approve that?
If you want to preemptively approve topping it, that's fine. But I would rather, for sake of the record, just because that I am a data-driven mind, getting that for you and taking more accurate photos and getting something on record from the town arborist too.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and again, if Kevin, your arborist, calls me tomorrow and says, nope, they need to come down, that's a different story. Unfortunately, I'm just not getting
It's
that.
an emergency, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not getting that, so.
Okay.
And I understand again, but you just don't know what weather you're gonna get next week.
Sure.
Right? So any additional, and I understand the process, and I appreciate the support, right? But any additional pushing in time, if things happen, like if something happens to my property from the time now to I can bring the trees down, especially those outside of, I guess, my control, like then who's responsible for that?
Sure, so that would be town insurance. I will say that tree, that's the specific one that you and I looked at in the wetland, it is ramrod straight, and there are 2 trees right in front of it. It's not leaning towards your house, and it's not uprooted yet. So if it were to fall, there's a really good chance that the trees right in front of it are gonna catch it.
Understood.
So
But
if that helps alleviate any of your fears too.
And there's a good chance it'll break about halfway up before it falls down. They usually don't.
So,
A pine is brittle up and that's where it's moving most of the time.
So, I mean, it's,
Well, no,
you're,
what I was
you're
gonna say,
voting.
so
So-
Derek's gonna look at it this coming week, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And then you're gonna make the determination.
And I can sign an emergency authorization, and then you guys can ratify it at the next meeting, and it can just happen.
That's what I was
So-
thinking, right? So
Yeah.
then you don't even have to wait till the next meeting.
Yeah.
That's where I was coming from, too.
Right, 100%. So she can make the decision based on the arborist, right? And I'll just expedite it a little for you, 'cause that's a few days away.
That's just the concern, yeah.
Okay,
That's fine.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, look at today, right? Tons of rain, lots
Yeah.
of wind. It's
Yeah.
a perfect
Yeah.
storm.
so we'll leave it in your capable hands, Bricolage.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna approve the MBZA for the trees on property here. And,
How we address
are you
that.
gonna, what are your plan, actually, just one last, what's your plans with the stumps, Manuel?
There was no plans, just to let them be.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, that's preferable. Okay,
To be clear, that's what you plan on doing, right?
I'm sorry?
To be clear, you plan on leaving the stump?
Yeah, not touching it.
Yeah, okay,
just let
thank
it
you.
be.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did have one other thing, just for context, and especially for everybody else in the audience that's learning. It is actually to your benefit as well to have the town take care of the trees within the wetlands, because it's a separate permitting process. It would be more of a burden on you, as a homeowner, to have to permit for work within wetlands than it would be for the town.
Okay.
So,
okay, so we're gonna approve the MBZA for the trees on property, stumps left in place.
I'll give you a motion, to wit,
Second.
to approve the three with the the stumps, not the trunks, left in place.
All right,
Second.
all right,
Vote to approve.
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 vote to approve. And well, you're good. Thank you for coming in and taking the time to go through it with us.
Thank
Glad we
you.
could figure this out. All right, next we've got a MBZA for 11 Forge Parkway. Anybody here from 11 Forge? Crowd is thin.
doesn't look like it, but that's all right. So I did take a site visit out, to the industrial park there. So these are actual snags overhanging access drives, Tyler, thank you. So there's a delivery road to the back of the building. It's an access drive. There you go. You can see it. And if you keep scrolling, Tyler, one more. There you go. You can see in the top middle photo.
Oh, yeah.
So that,
man.
that's a hazard.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's
Yeah.
a hazard. So, they're proposing to cut that one down, push it back up, because it is top of bank to an intermittent stream. So just let regular stream morphology happen to take the tree, essentially.
In about 100 years.
Yeah, remove, two other trees, just topping them. They have no interest in removing stumps, and then do vista pruning. Vista pruning is exempt activity under the Wetlands Protection Act as a minor buffer zone activity.
What is vista pruning?
Just brush, grubbing, like just cutting down branches and things like that from line of sight.
Improve your vista.
Yeah, improving your vista pruning. Exactly.
I'm on it today.
Yeah.
You're good.
And then their reasoning behind it was, again, for line of sight and then just encroachment. So I'd recommend approval, stumps left in place.
All right. Roger, you wanna feel this one?
Sure, I'll give you, we're talking 11 Forge Parkway, right?
Correct.
I'll give you a motion to approve the requested removal of trees for 11 Forge Parkway.
Stumps left in place.
Second.
All right.
Vote to approve.
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 Approved.
We got it.
All right, approved. Now we're on to Richard's favorite.
I saw that earlier. I said, God almighty. Yes,
So could I have unless you really want to talk about it, just a motion to,
there's no difference in it. I mean, it just keeps going. It's gonna rot on there.
yep,
All right, I'll give you a
the,
motion to approve the violation enforcement of 305 Union Street for another, do we call it 30 days all the time?
30 days.
30 days.
Second.
Vote to approve.
Approve. Extend.
Reluctantly approved.
Approve.
Okay.
We don't have-
Done? All right, we've got the minutes from last meeting. Any comments, changes, queries, questions? Good on that? Michael, you want to give us a motion on that?
I'll give you a motion to approve the minutes from 21 March 2024.
Second,
All right,
vote to approve.
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 vote to approve, so we're good on that. Next, we've got our vacancy candidates here. So, we've got 2 people here, right? I think we had 3 originally we were talking about, right? But, so we'll give each of you an opportunity. Does anybody want to go first? You can sit at the chair there and tell us a little bit about yourself, and love to hear more. Thanks for coming in, by the way.
Yes.
Great
Thanks
to
for
see
having
you.
me. Okay, so my name is Gene Grella. I live at 36 Redgate Lane here in Franklin, just down the street. I have in the past served on a couple of different committees. I was on the Solid Waste Committee, I was Vice Chairman. I was also Chairman of the Franklin Recycling Committee for 10 years. I also served on the planning, master plan board with Jeff Roy. The first one, I also volunteered to be on the second one, so
Yeah,
I wasn't
okay.
approved for that. So what brings me here? So I'll just give you the story. So it hasn't come in front of you yet, but there's a project at 444 East Central Street, large 40B, friendly 40B, and so I started looking at the plans of that, and I had a lot of questions about, because it's building on wetlands. It's also building near the town well, well number 9, which is about, the property runs about 100 feet from that zone 1. So that kind of piqued my interest about the whole process and how the process worked, and that's when I went to Rika Lai and I started asking questions, and I started emailing her, and then it came up also that there was this opening on this. And so since I like to volunteer my time and any experience that I have, I thought, okay, this is an opportunity, because I haven't seen another committee opening. So I want you to understand, I'm not trying to be on the committee because of that project. I think that project will take care of itself. And if it eventually came to the committee, I would recuse myself. But this has piqued my interest. I'm very much into kind of environmental things, and also into protection of lands, wetlands. So this is obviously of interest to me, and I just want to find a way to serve the town, so like I have in the past, and that's why I'm kind of volunteering my time.
Well, that's great. Thank you for coming in. Hey, just curious, so the results of the master plan you worked on, how did that kind of unfold, would you say? 'Cause that was a while ago, Jeff Roy.
10 years ago.
Yeah. I didn't see a lot of the things that I think that we wanted in the master plan that continued to kind of build down the town. It's kind of, we continue, I think, to, in my opinion anyway, kind of throw things up, and they don't necessarily, and I don't know how well we do against kind of matching up against the master plan, as far as going back to look at that side, say some of the things that we've built in the past, and kind of, I think what a lot of what we were looking for also was kind of to kind of beautify the town in a way, and then part of the idea of the master plan would be to kind of, not only to build responsibly, but also to make things more scenic, and I don't see that happening. I mean, I look at this Taj thing we built over here, and it just looks like kind of a giant mess to me. And I don't think that the people in the master plan really, who worked on that, that's what we would have gone for. So that's just my opinion on it.
Oh, okay, well, thank you. Yeah, interesting. I mean, we're in the process again now, right, as you mentioned.
Yes.
So, we just, it's interesting tying back. We just went through our open space plan last year, and we did look back, right, at the previous one. It was kind of interesting to see what the goals were and how we made some progress. It's not easy, but it's an interesting process, I thought. We had Bricolai headed up, right? We had a lot of good people come in, a lot of good public commentary. So it's a good process to go through. So, all right.
Any other questions?
Oh, I'm good.
All right.
Thanks for your past service, it's quite
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah.
Sure.
Actually, so solid waste committee, what?
All right, you want to know the story of this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Honestly, that was a really interesting. So when this is shortly after I moved into town, there was an effort to do kind of a pay-as-you-throw program. And we were already paying like $300, like for trash or whatever, and then they were like, I think they were talking about a pay-as-you-throw. So I wrote something to Jeff Nutting along with a bunch of other people, and Jeff's idea was to create this solid waste committee. And the idea was like pay-as-you-throw, like to look at that, right? Instead of looking at that, like a lot of the people on the committee, I was vice chairman, but I wasn't the one. I learned a lot on this committee, but a lot of the people are looking at it and saying, hey, what the hell is involved in our trash bill here? And when they dove into it, what they found was that the town was kind of improperly billing for the people who were on the trash program for other things. For example, in that trash fee was the school's trash, and it was the town pickup or whatever. And so, I forgot now the law that's in place or whatever, but basically they considered to be that fee, the increase of that fee, was a way to kind of avoid, like, tax increases. And so, what we found in that committee was that the town had to, put their own trash removal in their budget, because, see, the fee payers are just the homeowners, right?
Right.
And not the whole town, not all the residents were paying the trash fee, just the homeowners, right, were paying that, right? And so, the schools belong to the town, right, the buildings belong to the town. So all of that had to be covered in the town's budget and out of the, and it is, the law says if you're gonna charge a fee for something, then only, the people who are paying for the service, those, they're the ones, they should just be paying for what they have, right? Residential should just pay for residential. So that was part of it. The other thing we found was that the transfer station was running at a loss of about $100,000, and the trash fee was paying for that, okay? So we made them basically run the transfer station as break even, which means they had to start charging for certain items.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we cut, I think, in half, or we significantly reduced the trash fee. And then they said, okay, well, what about pay-as-you-throw? And they said, okay, well, we'll create another committee for that. And that was my committee, and I worked on the pay-as-you-throw, which ended up being the cart system we have now, which is actually, I really like it.
Well, good
So
job
that's
on the
That's
transfer
the whole
center.
story of solid waste to
Yeah.
recycle.
Taxation without representation, baby, right?
Yeah. You saw you asked that question?
I was interested, so,
Okay.
all right.
All
Well,
right.
thank you, Gene, that's
Thank you.
great, all right.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Nicole, come on up.
Hi, I'm Nicole Sharmonti. I lived in Franklin for 7 years. I have a degree in environmental science. I have worked on many conservation projects in the past in other states. I currently work at Stonehill College in the chemistry department. I'm the lab manager. And I've pretty much fallen in love with Franklin. I think that it has such a nice balance between an urban life with also conservation efforts. A lot of, I like hiking, a lot of trails, and I think the town's done they've done a very good job at keeping that balance. And when I saw the seat open, I thought I would put my hat in the ring and
All
see
right.
what comes.
Great.
Good.
With your work at Stonehill, are you doing anything environmentally, in the environmental science that you manage the chemistry lab? Are you doing anything with the environmental sciences there?
No, I currently we're trying to work on a plan to bridge chemistry and environmental science.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
the department is starting to, it's fairly new, environmental science at Stonehill, so they're still trying to develop it a little bit more. But with my background, we're trying to see if there's ways for me to work with that. They also have several ponds on the property, some beautiful ones, and we're trying to develop a curriculum for the chemistry students to show them the importance of eutrophication and whatnot, with how to test that. So,
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Can I jump in real quick because I'm quite excited? Soils, wetland soils is all chemistry.
mhm.
Just-
Yeah, right,
just
yeah.
FYI, yeah.
Yeah,
Very
I had,
excited just now.
There was a lot of marine soils that I
Oh,
worked with. like-
yeah, yeah, very similar,
Well,
yeah.
It might be better than the little color charts.
Richard's never, he's scarred by that.
Yeah.
It's just one method. We look for all sorts of things, manganese, sulfur, all sorts of things.
So,
Smell
so,
it.
so where were you, you just said you did some projects in some other states, where'd you do that?
Well, I'm from Massachusetts, but my husband, he travels, so we've been in Florida and Pennsylvania, and now we're
Okay.
back, so.
Oh, that's good.
What was one of your, fun projects, the one that made you, feel like you really made a difference? Does one stand out, or?
I'd have to say it's probably, we did a beach nourishment project with, World, Renowned Surfers. So they came and it was like this huge thing for the town, and, we planted sea oats in the dunes, and,
I'm sorry, what'd you plant?
sea oats.
Oh, sea oats, okay, got it, yeah.
And then the surfers, I think there were some skateboarders there too. They were encouraging the crowds to come in, and you buy a seed and you can plant them in the
All right,
dunes.
cool.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Really
Nicole, anything else, Richard?
Good.
All right. Nicole, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate both of you guys coming in. Thank you for your interest.
It helps.
Yeah, so we got a number of applications we'll go through, and we'll come back to you and let you know, but appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I think, so we got, stormwater discussion.
Yeah, I realized I kept it on here in case you or Jeff had drafted a letter, but it, based on the discussion last time with Derek Adams, but there's no rush on it, so we're fine with that.
That's right.
Yeah, it's okay. It's been busy.
No, didn't Jeff do that, though?
So the stormwater discussion is for the retrofit of all basins across town.
Right.
That's not pressing. The letter of support for the MVP grant, which is for the culvert, yes, that is, I will need that at the next meeting. I still have to send Jeff information about that grant. So
Okay.
that's on my to-do list.
Okay.
So I
right.
can send that actually to both of you,
Yeah.
probably when I'm back
Sure.
from Vermont.
Okay, cool.
So.
Okay. And then we got Friends of Franklin.
Those two guys.
So I missed the pizza party today. How'd that go?
Oh, yeah.
It went pretty well. We had 19 people, seven children, 12 adults. It was fun. I mean, it was okay. It was a little kitschy, but that's all right. Yeah, pizza was good.
It was
I
good.
thought.
Where'd you get the pizza?
Franklin Pizza
Deli?
Deli.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I had to ask around who had gluten-free pizza.
Oh,
So they came up as highly recommended. But we watched a few YouTube videos just to learn about the eclipse, and kids were able to do some artwork. Adults were talking, which is always good. No, there were
You
no.
quizzed the kids.
What?
You quizzed the kids.
I quizzed the kids.
Yeah.
I found a website that was not accurate, so that was fun. That the lesson, our learning lesson today was that not everything we read on the internet is true. So that's the takeaway.
Unheard of, eh?
Yeah, that's actually that's what I tell residents when they say that. Oh, I've looked at GIS, or if they're just curious, I say, well, not everything we read is true. So why don't I
You need to
come?
have 2 or 3 other documents to back that up.
I know.
Yeah.
So
Fact check.
exactly, but it was good. I think it was pretty good. If any of you would like solar glasses, I have extras. I also have moon pies and starburst and Milky Ways and orbit gum and eclipse gum.
So the solar eclipse glasses, so what are those effective for? I mean, we capable of looking right at it? And, wow.
Yeah, and these ones, because I was giving them out to the public, I triple checked that they were good and certified and okay.
Half of Franklin goes blind.
Well, that would be a big matzo ball out there.
That is my worst nightmare. So
Oh, God.
30 people blinded, I bet.
yes, yes, and yes, moon pies, chocolate and banana.
Now we're talking, moon pies, yes.
All right.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So
Banana.
it was good.
All right.
And then we had a brief meeting last Monday, I think. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, and we talked about what we're going to be doing for Earth Month. I think we came down on having a table at the Saturday, the big Earth Day celebration at Beaver Pond. Friends of Franklin Conservation will have a table there, talking about what our plans and, kind of recruiting more people. We haven't really done any, the winter is not a great time to
Yeah.
do trail maintenance and stuff, but.
And then April 27th. Sorry, I was switching gears since we were talking about Earth Month. Were you finished with Friends of Franklin Conservation?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. April 27th, I just wanted to put it back on your radar. It's a Saturday for a Concom event at Delcart. If that works for the majority of you. I can send out an email next week just to confirm and we confirm up details.
Would it be good to get the friends there as well?
Probably. I think so. Yeah. I can reach out to AgCom too if you would like.
Oh, that'd be
Or
good.
you can, Mark, or you can, Roger. It's probably better that it's board to board instead of me, but
Will they
I'll
still,
do it.
will they still talk to you, Roger, after you?
I've been going to their meetings still. I want to show I still support them.
You're a good man.
Yes.
I will reach out to them.
Okay.
thank you. I apologize to them that I felt like I stole him. It wasn't me, but
But were you even really sorry?
I mean,
You don't have to answer.
You might want to answer that after I leave.
yeah, we're on record.
It's classified.
I want Roger to follow his heart.
That's a great
that's
answer.
what I
It's a
want.
really good answer.
Actually, they meet the last Monday, so I'll
Okay.
send Miriam an
Okay.
email. But I talk to her on a somewhat regular basis, so.
Okay, that sounds good.
That's great. Thank you, Roger.
For activities, obviously there's like trail walks and Delcart is fairly maintained. We have a good community, or adjacent community that keeps it clean. But the turtle habitat could probably use some love, and I can probably get seeds so we can scatter seeds, or I can get some bare root plants and we can plant them too.
That'd be cool.
Will the cement trough be moved by then?
I will add it to my list.
Just curious. I didn't know. I didn't know if it had a date yet.
No, but I did think about that this morning, that now it's getting to the point we could probably move it. It would probably be nice to have it moved by that time.
Is
On-
that, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, on the subject of the turtle habitat, I would love it if that's something that FFC could keep up on, until it's established. with me, like, I'm not passing it off, but I think it'd be
So what's the timeline on that?
probably just spring maintenance and then fall maintenance.
So when does spring maintenance start?
Now,
Now?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's gonna take at least 3 to 5 years until it's established. So last year we did a lot of weed removal. We did do heavy seeding. We did do some planting. We're probably gonna have to just keep doing it. There were a lot of invasives in that area, so you know, with any invasive species management plan, you have to stay on it consecutively year after year after year after year.
I couldn't believe how overgrown that got.
I know, but you've seen it now. Oh yeah, because you've gone there before. I mean, we cleared that entire area in 4 hours. It was incredible. It was actually really inspiring how many people showed up and came to do it. So
That's because you were able to get a backhoe down in there, right up against the water.
yep, that's right.
That's a big help.
Just load a bucket and go, right?
Yeah. So
So then the Friends should maybe get a work group together to start, sounds like, any time now, right?
yeah, we
Okay.
can coordinate on that.
All right.
I can add that to my list. It'll help. Okay.
All right. Speaking of master plan, a master plan?
Yes, Megan sent her update. I did put it in your folders
Okay.
late tonight, so you can review it. She was just recapping their open house on March 23rd. So they asked about 4 main questions. One, which open space in Franklin would you like to see prioritized for improvement? People answered Maple Hill, invasive species management in all open spaces, especially in the state forest and along SNET. They would like to see SNET prioritized for expansion and Beaver Pond. And then, let's see, what is one thing you would like to see in the plan for Schmidt's Farm? Community gardens, parking, crop sharing, trees, accessible area, connect Schmidt to SNET, natural playscape for kids, passive recreation / walking and biking trails, no hunting, barn restoration into usable space, and bigger dog park, which those are all things also encapsulated in the open space plan.
Right.
The third question was, how can the town of Franklin best reach the community for public outreach and education around open space and natural, cultural, and historic resources? Newspaper, mail, email, town webpage, maybe a new page on conservation site for news and events. That's already a feature that's on there. That's how you get all the emails that I send out. And that stays right on the right-hand side. It is actually called announcements. In-person events, table at farmers markets, community coffees at Birchwood, neighborhood coffee / chats, social media, Franklin Matters, and podcasts. So then for what historic resource should the town prioritize protection and preservation with CPA funds? This is not applicable to Concom, but it is an update from her subcommittee. And in order of votes, it was Franklin Public Library, Union Street Cemetery, Franklin Railroad Station, historic monuments, and historic character of the common and buildings around it.
Well, at least Davis there isn't
Yeah, actually, that's surprising.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
We're looking to get that commercially occupied, right?
Nah, I gotta see it torn down, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind
It's-
of, yeah, right,
It's gonna cost too much to update it.
to fix it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah. It's millions,
yeah.
Yeah.
tens of millions,
Wow.
which is unfortunate. I
Yeah,
think.
sad, but, yeah,
It's a great spot,
actually,
it's a
right.
great
I
location.
went there. I
Did
went
you?
there.
Did you?
Yeah.
What,
It won't bother me at all to
high
tear it
school?
down. No, middle school, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it served its purpose, and it's a nice building, but like Briggle says, I mean, I thought I heard a number like 60 million to bring it up to code.
Holy crap.
60 million.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah, last I heard, and this was months and months and months ago, it was like 38. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if it's increased. That it's non-accessible, so it would,
Correct.
and it would have to be completely rewired and.
You got
it's-
accessibility in it and all the utilities, the wiring.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Plumbing,
Yeah.
and then you gotta get rid of all the
Probably asbestos in there,
asbestos
It's
and
got- yeah, it
lead
is.
paint,
right? Yep. Yeah.
so that's a killer.
Carpet everything.
Hmm?
Just carpet everything.
That's right. Everybody a mask,
Yeah.
and breathe deep.
Open the windows.
All right. Natural Resource Protection Manager update.
Yeah, a lot going on that side of my department and position. Derek and I did present to Helen Keller last week for our MVP grant. We presented to the entire 5th grade class, which is special because this is a 3-year project should we get the grant. And in middle school at Annie Sullivan, they will be in their STEM program. So they will be able to work with us all the way to middle school graduation. So that was fun. My biggest takeaway was that the scientific method should be called decision trees. And I really liked that.
Yeah,
Because you can
yeah.
climb whatever trunk you want from the main stem, and you can always climb back down and choose a different path. And it's a tree. I ruminated about that one a lot. I liked
Yeah.
that. B program has started. Roger and Michael are in it. Thank you. Thank you
Nice.
for
It was
bearing.
well attended.
It was.
It was- Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like.
That's really getting
I shouldn't say
traction, huh?
shocked, but I mean, the room was full.
Yeah.
And there were a ton of people on hybrid.
Yes. We had 95 people register.
Wow.
We had more people in person than what I thought. Not the full amount, but in any party planning situation, if you get half of everybody that RSVP'd,
Yeah.
you're winning. So we definitely had that. I was really touched how many people were taking notes. I thought that was really special. People were engaged in learning.
Geez, I didn't take any notes.
Well, that's okay. I think personally for next round, to maybe expand a little bit more that, the workshops are presentations meant to be just digested, even if you may not want to attract bears or fishers to your house, that's okay. So there seemed to be some confusion there, but yeah, we're trucking right along. Seemed pretty good. I received a lot of emails about it already today from participants. And then, since we are in Earth Month, April 20th, I will be at Beaver Pond with Rec Department for the town-wide trash pickup. DPW will be there also, and then the accessibility working group in conjunction with Franklin Cultural District, our Arts and Culture Director, FFC, and Conservation Department will pop over to Sculpture Park so we can have an accessible Earth Day event there. And then on the accessibility front, our accessibility working group has been meeting every month on the first Thursdays of every month, and it's actually a really wholesome working group. So Roger's a part of that. Michael, when and if you can attend, I know you're working. 2 individuals from the Disability Commission, Carlos and Tony, superintendent and deputy super from grounds crew, myself, meet, and we start, and Ryan Jetty, and we start prioritizing accessibility concerns that was outlined during the open space plan. And so far, we've been, no pun intended, knocking it out of the park. We've gotten additional striping and
Signage. Signage.
Signage, yeah, thank you. I was trying to think of the word signage at the sculpture park. For handicap parking, we've gotten additional benches with backs, at the sculpture park. They have already been installed. They were not installed where we had discussed, but, they can be moved. So there are sitting breaks as people walk around the sculpture park, so they don't have to wait to sit until one area. So that was something that was highlighted, that it is a far walk and somebody with mobility concerns may not be able to make the full loop. So to have resting spots, we've talked about that. The rec department received a grant to buy a beachcomber wheelchair with fat tires, so that's really exciting. Ryan's working on the Moby mats at Chilson Beach.
It's good.
What else have we done? We're trucking.
Yeah, I will say, like, I've been to the last two, I think, maybe
Yeah.
three, but at least the past two, and Ally's there, Ally Ream?
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
really sure.
And you can just tell that she's felt
Yeah.
that accessibility was never pushed in town until this young lady came along, and, I mean, you can see it on her face, how proud she is, and
That's really
feels good to be included, and
Yeah.
it's like, you know, I went home and I told my wife, I says, you know, I says, I always thought we do our best for people that are, you know, handicapped, but you can see that this person really enjoys and appreciates what she's getting now, and always felt left out, so kudos to you.
That's great, yeah, nice work.
Yeah, and then I think our biggest, it's not a win yet, but our biggest soft win is that Ryan had brought up, Ryan Jetty, rec director, had brought up a really comprehensive town-wide accessibility study. So we had to do an accessibility study, if you recall, through the open space plan, and it was, for brevity, color-coded, if you will, like red, orange, you know, green. But it never mapped out, you know, where areas of improvement could be. It never discussed potential options for improvement. So Ryan had seen, was it in Lexington?
Yes, it was Lexington.
Lexington has a town-wide accessibility study per open space and rec facility. So they map it, they take an aerial image and they map, you know, how much of it is paved, how much of it is not paved, what amenities are there, what amenities aren't there, and it's a consultant, right? And then they provide suggestions of improvement for everything. So at our last meeting, we discussed perhaps Franklin doing this, but it's about $80,000. Obviously, you know, we're pretty savvy at getting grants, especially Ryan. But I took the liberty of asking Jamie Helen, our town administrator, how would we facilitate doing this? And he said to include it as a capital budget line item, which is super exciting. Fiscal year 25 for budgets is gone already. We've already done that. Still has yet to be voted on, but internally we're all set up. So today, I asked Ryan if he would guide me in doing that, because it's first year, right? Conservation's having its budget, so I'm not gonna, I'm not just gonna at last minute put in a capital budget item. But fiscal year 26, I'll put it on there if we have not received a grant for it yet. So
All right.
it's exciting. So soft win, right? Because council still has to approve.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Moving, it's moving.
It's moving,
It's a
I
lot of
know,
progress,
and we've
right?
only
Yeah.
been meeting for 3 months, so, I think this is the fastest municipal government has ever moved on anything, to be honest.
That's good.
So, yeah, it's a good group. So it is, they should be posted on the calendar. Anybody is available to attend. You know, if more than 4 of you attend, I do have to post an agenda, but it is a non-town council officiated group, so legally it's not a public hearing, we don't have to have an agenda, it's really flexible, and it's just a working session. So, Thank you, Roger, for the kind words.
Thank you for what you're doing, yeah. Hey,
My
one last thing is a suggestion I just thought of.
Yeah.
So with the applicants for the opening,
Yeah.
do we want to maybe skinny back the spreadsheet to the people that have actually shown up to be interviewed, and we'll, now that we've done that, maybe we'll just prioritize based on the folks that have been in, and,
I
Go.
think that would be good.
Yeah, we should move on
right,
That's
I mean,
only, what,
a heck of a
4?
pool, right? What's that?
That would make 3 or 4, 4?
5.
We had 2,
5.
yeah, I was gonna say, I thought it was 5. We
Two
had
tonight.
2
and
tonight,
3, okay, yeah.
so we had
5 strong candidates.
I know, man. Yeah, like, tough choices, yep, so
Yeah,
she
tough.
came in, and then, yeah, Heather Tassie never came in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Louis came in,
Thomas Such didn't come in.
did not come in, right?
Yep,
Andy Onderdonk came in,
he did.
and Pat,
Yep.
Robinson, yeah, so
Yep.
5, right?
Yeah, and Jean Grella, yeah.
It's a good pool, so, yeah, so we'll 1 through 5 on those 5, and
Yes. So what I will do,
You're in my
For
top ones
brevity.
anyway.
I am hiding columns of people's names that we do not pick. And I'm going to clear off the top half of the spreadsheet.
all right,
Please only rate the top portion. Do not go below the blue,
just the top.
just the top.
I
So
didn't
to,
have instructions last time,
so, that's okay. To be fair,
No,
I just want to say, to be fair, this is all Jeff Livingstone. So this is this is
Okay.
the way his brain works. It makes sense, actually. It makes it a little, it's automated, so it's more streamlined for me to know who's top, but it was a learning curve, and I was just gonna do it by hand, so that's,
It's impressive.
I truly didn't understand, and that was a number 1 became a 5 when you moved.
yeah.
Moved the numbers
It's
down.
I mean, it's brilliant the way that
It is?
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's-
actually.
It's cool how it works.
Wouldn't it work just as well if you just kept a 1 or 1?
So the reason why it does
Yeah.
that is because if you rank somebody a 1 at the top, that means they're your first choice. So on the bottom, you'd actually see, let's say, a 4, because it has to total the amount of people that are there. You're rating 1 through 5. So you'll see a 4. So that means that that person's final score will be weighted based on that 4. So they're actually your number 1 choice. So the points that they get are going to be higher than somebody that received a 2, a 3, a 4, or 5. It's an inverse matrix.
I think, not that I want to throw, I think something, and I bet I know where Jeff got that from, because this class I've been taking at UMass, I think they rate wetlands, there's a formula, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yep, yeah. They have an inverse scoring matrix for
Yeah,
one.
I got that, I got that one wrong on the test, too.
So,
That's what I did too. I went,
And then I was trying to figure out what her numbers meant. I'm saying, what the hell is she doing? Roberta was going, just call her up, will you? I said, no. I said, she makes no sense here. I can't talk to her today.
yes. So to confirm, it's Louis Puga, right? Andrew Onderdonk, Pat Robinson, Nicole, I can't remember, Chiaramonte.
Started with a T.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
first group, yeah, Louis, Andrew, right,
Yep, Pat.
Pat, and then,
This one is Nicole and Jean.
Did it,
yeah,
Tremonti.
Okay.
his last name was Gendro, a young kid, didn't he?
Adam Gendro?
Yeah, did he come that first night?
I
No.
don't think so.
First
I-
night was Louis, Andy, and
He was going to
Pat.
zoom in.
Okay.
He said he
Patricia.
would. He did not
who
attend.
said that we
So I,
needed
that's
a
right,
little less
testosterone,
testosterone on the
Testosterone, yeah.
board.
that's right.
she's not
Well,
wrong.
good.
That was good, I forgot about that.
But Nicole was good.
all right, so you can go back in and only touch the top, just like at the doctor's office, and they say for office use
Yeah.
only in blue. Don't go under the blue, please. For office use only.
And we're doing it again for what reason? We're gonna change our minds, or?
Well, now they've come in, just rate the five that have come
The five that
in
have come.
independently of everybody. And maybe there, something they did here changed your mind, but.
Yeah, okay.
So, figure one last cut at it and then we'll be,
Yeah.
if that works.
Then you can pick who.
Okay.
All right.
We had a lot more applicants this round than we had with your cohort.
I'll be honest with all of yous, there was one candidate that applied, and the person also applied for the Ag Committee. And the Ag Committee was meeting, was that last week? I says, she's perfect for us, we're gonna lose her, she's gonna go to the Ag Committee. But the Ag Committee never brought any of it up, so I just sitting in the meeting saying, oh, okay, yeah, okay, that's okay. So I didn't say anything.
Good job.
All right, that works for me.
Hey, one last quick thought, just to consider, and Bricolai, you and I talked about this at one point, right? I'd asked Bricolai, we've got these local regulations and bylaws, right? And my question was, how long have they been around? How'd they even come to pass? And it's probably been so long, we're not even sure. So is that something that maybe we take a look at some point in bite-sized pieces?
There's conservation bylaws and,
Yes.
oh,
So, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Please.
The last time when Pat stepped down and Jeff stepped in as chair and Megan was still vice chair, we started to look at our bylaws. Jamie actually included revitalization of our bylaws into town council goals. So we do have 2 years.
Okay.
We
Almost
have,
every-
well, we have to,
Yeah, so well, I didn't know that part, but
Yeah.
so it's good we're talking
Yeah,
about it.
yes. So before my leave, we were meeting. We had it earmarked in the calendar to meet. And then the holidays hit and I was on leave. That hasn't come back, but it is something that I would like to do. But I do need buy-in from the commission to do so, right? And I don't wanna just make your bylaws for you. So I can help facilitate, I can draft, I can provide,
you can
any-
answer.
I can answer, I can provide, reference bylaws, but it is something that you all will need to, draft as well, or be privy to, kinda like
You can
open
say,
space.
no, you can't do that.
Exactly. So, you just let me know how you wanna do that.
I guess we ought
It
to
would likely be
start
filtered
with-
through you and Jeff, and
Right.
then you all would
I
discuss
mean,
it.
one thought I had, we talked about it, maybe this is the way you start, I mean, there's a lot in here, is breaking it down into bite-sized pieces, doing a few at a time.
Yeah, say, let's attack this page.
Exactly.
And not only that, but there's other towns out there with some really great bylaws that we
Well,
don't have.
that's
So
a great point.
Not just look at what we have, but look at what we don't have,
Yeah.
and maybe should have.
Yeah,
Let's get rid of the stinkers first.
there's probably some stuff in there we could,
Yeah, additionally, there's some things that are in our regulations that need to be in the bylaw.
There's some things we can't get rid of.
And there's some things we can't get rid of.
That's right.
To your point, Michael, we are having, as a state, we're having updated stormwater standards and all sorts of things. So to stay current, it is, to our benefit. I think specifically for stormwater basins, embellishing a little bit more on, their determination would be helpful.
yeah.
So there's a lot of things that we can. And fees. We're actually really cheap. I understand that it doesn't come across that way sometimes, perhaps by applicants, but compared to other towns, our filing fees are cheap.
Well, and
that's
frankly, we
o-
should keep them that way.
And that's okay. We
Or
just need
even
to
lower 'em some
look
more.
at them.
Yeah,
So,
we're not, not in the business to penalize the citizens.
correct. But that is something that Jamie has asked, is to start looking to do
Right.
reference fees to just make sure that we're also current with other municipalities. So,
So bring it up.
maybe not on par, but
Yeah,
trending.
I'm in big favor, or I lean toward giving us latitude,
yeah,
not boxing you into bada bing, but giving you a little bit of wiggle room to say this, that, or this, depending on the situation. Just my point.
And then
And some of that might be the way it's just written, right?
going,
Yes. A word or two, one way or the other, can make a
Exactly.
big difference
Yeah.
on how it traps you or doesn't trap you into doing something.
additionally on fees, and I'm only bringing this up because it was a recent dialogue that I've had with an applicant, is that for peer review especially, you are protected under your bylaw to ask for peer review and the Wetlands Protection Act. So you have double statutes that protect you to ask applicants for peer review, and it has to be paid by their expense. An applicant asked, well, if I'm already paying a filing fee, then that filing fee should be used to pay for peer review. And at that point, I reached out to Mark Sorrell because it was a back and forth dialogue, and I wanted to say I reached out to town council, right? And he let me know that, I'll actually just read it out for the record. Municipal regulatory fees need to bear a reasonable relationship, though not exact, to the municipality's costs, both direct and indirect, of providing municipal service, e.g. providing administrative staff and resources. That said, fees for independent or outside peer review are separate and specifically authorized by statute. So that could also be, it just triggered in my brain, that could also be why Jamie's asking to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think those fees go towards funding the administration. So,
But the way that I described it to the applicant is it offsets development. Those fees allow you to do matches for grants that help with stormwater. Those fees allow you to be able to support conservation efforts, initiatives, or natural resource directives, like the turtle habitat. So, or perhaps tree removals on conservation areas. I'm trying to remove those costs from you, which is why I pushed for an independent budget. Because for things within wetlands, it makes sense for it to be under your purview, but for things that are high and dry, that is a vacant lot that just got placed into conservation land because nobody had anything to do with it.
Yeah.
There needs to be separation between the commission and department. But you are right. I don't know.
yeah.
And I would still support you having funds to be able to utilize in a way that makes, that you feel fit. You know, for example, Derek and I were talking about the MVP grant, and he said, well, I got the match, right? Stormwater, I have no money, but DPW has all the money. So he said, well, I have the match. And I said, well, let me just ask the commission, because you all have expressed interest in supporting things, you know, and I respect that, and I want to give you guys you won't know unless, you know,
Unless somebody tells us about it.
unless the opportunity's there. And he was overwhelmed that you all said, yep, sure, done. Like, we'll pay for it. So,
That's good.
you know, and that's where those filing fees come into play.
Good, that's good.
So it offsets development, or impacts, I should say. It's another form of mitigation. So anyways, that's my piece.
Oh, good to talk about, so we'll bring it up to Jeff, but it's something we talked about and think about.
I know it's getting late, but, so next time is April 18th.
Correct.
And if we're gonna have an event on April 27th, that's real quick.
Yep.
So is there anything we should talk about tonight?
Other than turtle habitat, which is my own preference, right? Is there anything that the commission would like to do at that event?
I mean, things always, who's our buddy from the DCR?
Mike Downey.
Mike Downey.
My only hesitation with that is he's here every Wednesday for the bee program.
So we're wearing him out. God,
I can ask, I mean,
I get it.
Foresters are a dime a dozen, so I can,
Mike, don't
We're still being recorded, right?
Yep. So, I can always ask one of his colleagues, or I can ask our forester that does our forest stewardship plans, who actually is, used to work with Mike at DCR. I can ask him if
That'd
he
be
can
cool.
come.
I just always think that's a good take.
All right,
Yeah,
that's
right?
fine. I can do that.
And I feel like we also, didn't we have somebody from like Stony Brook come one time and give a nature walk?
Maybe
that was before your time, I don't remember.
It might have been before my time. I was trying to get Stony Brook last year, but then we had a rain date, and they weren't able to make the rain date. But I can send another email out for that.
Well, recently, might have been 2 years ago, but I was on his nature walk, and it was really good.
Okay, we can. Let's do that. There was Dave Gordon. He did like a vernal pool walk recently.
Yeah, I missed that.
Okay.
I didn't go to, I'd love to do one of those.
I
Yeah,
can
I would
ask
love to,
Dave.
too.
Now's the time to do it too, right?
Not today.
No.
Might be cool to
Well,
have some,
it was-
some
it was
people
warm
there
out.
from the rail trail group too, right?
Yeah,
Wonder if even Colby would come by.
probably. I unfortunately cannot reach out to Kobe.
Okay, I could check that out. I mean, what do you guys think of that?
Yeah.
What would Kobe bring to the table?
I think,
I don't mean to downplay him, but it's
no,
not
no,
the
no, no, no,
snap.
it's a great question, right? I mean, I think, so here's where I was coming from, right? They had a ribbon cutting ceremony. You were there, right? Yeah, yeah, and, you know, I mean, I live next to that thing, I walk it all the time. And those guys came
Almost
over,
daily.
right, and they, just listen to them talk about it and how, I thought it was interesting. And I think it's a potential opportunity to promote involvement, right? I mean, I still keep thinking I'd go one day, right? They have a meeting like the second.
I've been to a couple.
At the brewery, right?
Yeah, there's nobody there.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm just throwing it out.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I
No,
just found
it's-
that part interesting, and
Yeah.
I'm sure they could come and talk about it. And I mean, there's definitely some maintenance they engage in that seems like it comes and goes depending on who they have available.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't bother me, but it's just like half the trail got leaves blown and half didn't. I mean,
You know, and maybe Briggle, I would know this, but as I said, I walk it a lot, and I've noticed there's parts of it, there's no leaves. And then there's other parts, there's a lot of leaves. And when I first started walking it, I used to say, you know, if this is my yard, I'd blow every one of these freaking leaves off this thing. And now I start to think, well, is that really the right natural thing to do?
well, they do blow them.
Well, I don't know if they do or not.
Oh, 100%.
You've seen him?
I've seen the guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, but for some reason he gave up halfway through this.
Because
year.
there was one stretch from that, I think it's Bubbling Brook
Yeah,
Road or
yeah.
something, from there down to, say, Spring Street, it was all blown. But I was saying, is that somebody that lives on
Yeah.
this street and just walks this little section or not? But, because when you go further up, you're right, you're walking, it seems to me it's gonna turn into a mud sooner or
Right.
later.
He might have been a road guy just doing it
Yeah.
on his own. I
Yeah.
assumed he was,
But it was funny, it's the little stretch right in the middle of it.
yeah.
I would suggest if you do reach out to the rail trail to email their general email.
Oh,
They, like on their, or perhaps message their Facebook,
got it.
just to keep things.
That's smart, yeah.
The person, one of the people that was at the, thing you had today is a volunteer at Stony Brook,
Really?
the,
Oh,
the more mature lady.
Oh, Pat?
No, no, Carol Bailey.
Oh.
yes. Hi, honey.
Hey, it's the one, she was a professor at Dean,
Really?
biology,
Well, that's cool.
yeah, but she's a hoot.
Yeah, so we can do that. I think that's fine. FFC mentioned that too, a collaborative effort, and I think collaboration is always, I think that's good.
All right, I'll.
And again, nothing against Kobe. As
No,
a,
no.
as staff, I just can't reach out to
Yeah,
counselors
and
and ask for
the general
favors.
emails are right. I remember him at that event, he just stuck in my
And he
mind.
usually comes to our event. He usually makes an attendance
Yeah,
anyways.
yeah, so, that's cool. All right.
So that's good, and I can trying to find some, fun things for us to do, like a woods walk, or I can pull from my peer group.
Do we want to, in terms of collaboration, I mean, the kids' stuff is always popular, is invite our friend that's at the Friends of Franklin, Megan, and see if she wants to,
Sure, yeah,
you wanna,
you can always do that.
you guys wanna tag into that, see if she's,
Sure.
right?
Kids
That just
always bring a crowd too.
That always seemed pretty popular.
Yeah.
So, I'll take Rail Trail, you guys take,
Invite Megan.
invite Megan, exactly.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Good conversation. With that, I think anything else, Michael?
Well, so when do we want to have it? Like,
Oh,
Hours.
time-wise, good question. I mean, what do we normally done, like 9 to,
Yeah, 4 hours is long.
Yeah.
We've done 4 hours. We've done 3 hours. It seems to be,
Almost like 10 to noon or something.
yeah, I think 2 hours will end on a high.
I
It's
like
almost
that.
like 2.5 hours, and then people are done. So it's not quite 3, and it's not 2, but I think if we say 2 hours, and then we have a little grace
It's like eating
period.
one piece of pizza, you definitely want more, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I think the porridge will be just right if it's 2 hours.
All right, 10 to noon, yeah,
all right.
I think that's good.
Oh, 10 to 2. I was
I mean,
10 to 2 noon.
10 to
Yeah,
noon.
yeah. That sounds good. Okay. Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you, Michael.
yeah, good call.
Thank you.
Would it be too soon? Not that, would, maybe Meg would do one of those pop-up things down there, or, that's all kind of indoor stuff that she's been doing, I think. We can ask her.
Yeah, and she has to take money to do it. So it just, yeah.
There's another question. Everybody says we have a lot of money. How much do we have?
I think you're over 230,000 at this point. That's, so again,
That's
I
what
would
I'm
like to
saying,
present
let's
you
stop
opportunities.
charging But so that funds the pond cleanup every year.
Yes. It funds all, like your MAC, any conferences, things like that. Pond cleanup's an expensive one. So,
But
We're not in
we're
any
making
danger
more
of
than
going
we're
over
spending.
budget, though.
It's going up, it's not going down, right?
yeah, especially now that I've been catching filing fees not being paid in whole.
That's a good ratio to look at, actually, right?
We don't need to be sitting on a pile of money.
Right, balance it.
No, because somebody's gonna say, being 10 million short in the town budget, right?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Somebody gets wind of that,
the only parameters for your budget, and it is yours, is that you have to vote on it, and it has to be used for wetlands protection, for any sort of periphery of wetlands protection or wetlands initiative. So,
Just protection? In other words, we couldn't do a project at Smith's Farm or anywhere
you could.
and
Is
use
that-
that part of that money? Oh, okay.
Is Schmidt's Farm gonna be conservation land?
I don't know. The additional 17 acres is the one by the town well. That got put into conservation. Nobody told me, but I saw it on GIS, so that's good. Because I've been checking too.
So
I've been curious.
who calls the ball on that?
Council.
Yeah, okay.
I imagine it would be, but you know, Schmidt's Farm is a cornerstone of really all departments.
Oh,
I know, Kate and Derek, they want to do a stormwater, demonstration there, which is good. Rec department, obviously, with community gardens and things like that. Building, even building department has a bite of the apple because of the barn.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because of the nature of the, no pun intended, the nature of the greater property at large being hiking trails, and for the most part being unimproved, that's conservation. So we'll see. I don't know if they'll parcel off like they did Delcart. Right, they'll subdivide a little parcel off of it that maybe is not conservation land, or the rest of it is. I highly doubt that, considering we just subdivided it with John Schmidt already, so.
Oh, what's not conservation land? The playground?
Mhm.
Ah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Makes sense though, because TBW maintains the playground.
Right,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, which is why for the turtle habitat, I needed to get their approval.
Oh,
Oh, that part is also not conservation land?
But it's in your jurisdiction.
Yeah.
'cause it's,
Yeah.
Right next to
the
it.
water.
It's right next- So we have, there's conservation jurisdiction, conservation land, and then conservation areas. Conservation areas are your public recreation spaces, Delcart, Riverbend, things like that. Conservation land are there's over 3,000 acres, I think, in Franklin. I think it's 3,000. It might be like, let's just say 1 to 3,000. But I know in the thousands of acres of conservation land that's under my department.
Is Maple Hill conservation?
Yeah.
Oh, it is conservation.
Area or land?
It'll be an area,
Oh,
Yeah.
not land?
not land, yeah. So it's a designated spot. It's a named location for recreation.
There's no access.
Not yet,
Okay.
yeah.
In fact, they're building a subdivision off of Kimberly.
They are in
That's
front of
right.
planning board with a,
April 24th or something, I
Yes.
think. yeah.
Does the town have first right of refusal on that land?
no.
What does it have to be?
not.
an-
We
ag-
tried to buy it years ago and they wanted too much money. They wanted too much money. They can do whatever they want as a private seller. We can only buy property that's at market value or slightly above. So,
Yeah, so that, there is no access there. Well, at the end of the subdivision, there'll be access.
yeah, Byron's Way, you can get in from Metacomet, you can get in from Maple Street. You'd have to finagle it, but yeah.
Bridle Path is really the only access.
Bridle Path, or not Byron's Way, Bridle Path is what I
Yeah.
meant, thank you.
Byron's Way is where you're gonna go walk in the woods pretty soon, right?
Yeah, whenever it stops raining,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm sure that stream is flowing.
Well, it's good, I've been thinking, like, I remember you said, I think you said, every 3 years they update GIS maps.
The 3-year rule is typically for wetland soils.
Okay, because I'm thinking, well, last year was a drenching year, and this year
Oh.
it looks like it might be queued up for that.
I see what you
So what
mean.
if we get 3 years in a row of that and they redo their maps?
For these guys,
Yeah.
like for any,
Well,
or for
no,
any
I
applicant.
mean, this is already
Yeah,
done.
so permits last for 3 years usually, unless Massachusetts it's in some statute or finding or something. But even back home, permits only last for so long because wetlands change. That's why. So it forces everybody's hand to reassess and relook at it.
That's what I'm saying, in other
Yeah.
words, with all the rain we've been getting, things could change a lot in the next couple of years.
That's why usually I'm a conservative delineator. So I'm on the nose with the boundary, but I also consider bounds. So what's gonna happen if we get a 100-year storm? And then you usually kick it up just a little bit. So, anyways, that sounds good. I can send more emails out about April 27th just to receive some feedback from you all, independent. I'll blind CC everybody, but
Thank you.
yeah.
Good call. All right. Anything else? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. What
Good.
close?
Close.
Closed.
Closed. All right, we're done. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
You can breathe a lie.
Yeah.